Do an introduction.
Can you hear us?
Say,
Okay. Can you edit me out now?
say welcome to my lecture. Face cam.
It's recording right now.
Say thanks for the sponsors.
Right, okay, shall we start? Can everyone see that? Right, so in terms of an intro then, it doesn't need to be a long intro, it just needs to be an argument. AQA, I do like an argument. So, language has gone through the process and continues to go through the process of change. These are defined as diachronic and synchronic variations. Okay. Which highlight not only that language changes over time, but that we change our language daily according to our needs. Okay, so that would be your intro. So language has gone through a process of, and continues to go through a process of change. These are defined as diachronic and synchronic variations, which highlight not only that language changes over time, but that we change our language daily according to our needs. So it's a really clear intro to the two types of language change. So now we need to make sure that we've got the question in there as well. This inevitably means that language is has also broken up into many different Englishes and will continue to do so. Apologies for my writing, it's a bit scribbly. Alright, so we've got the question in there. So now we need to go into our analysis. So are we starting with, what do you want to start with? Naturally, what does that question mean we need to start with? We will talk about diachronic and synchronic, but which one is going to specifically answer the question? Look on that board and see what synchronic. We've got an argument going. This is good though, because it means they're going to evaluate naturally, because we've got differences of opinions, as long as we're getting both things in there. So, within synchronic variations of English, we see that language changes based on a person's sociolect based on peoples, based on sociolects. Whereby code switching and register play important factors. So, in terms of code switching then, in our sociolects, can someone give me some examples of where we code switch and who with? Maybe. Okay, cool. So, this can be seen within transactional language at work, and what is it when it's with your peers? Not phatic. What is it? So you've got transactional languages when it's almost business, so it's work and you are in that sense. But then if you go then to your peers, what type of language is that? What can we call it?
Interruption.
Well done, you. Where a person may use register to conform to these different approaches can be highlighted in greetings. So if we give those specific greetings, for instance, a formal address of hello within the transactional speech is acceptable, or not acceptable, what is it, is expected. A yo may be accepted in certain situations. Okay. So let's have a look at what we've got so far. Language has gone through a process of, and continues to go through a process of change. These are defined as diachronic and synchronic variations, which highlight not only that language changes over time, but that we change our language daily according to our needs. This inevitably means that language is also broken up into many different Englishes and will continue to do so. Within synchronic variations of English, we see that language changes based on sociolects, whereby code switching and register play important factors. This can be seen within transactional language at work and interactional language when amongst peers. Where a person may use register to conform to these different approaches can be highlighted in greetings. For instance, a formal address of hello within the transactional speech is accepted. A yo may be accepted in certain interactional situations. And a little tiny little, thus highlighting or thus reinforcing the idea that does change on a daily. How can I put that? I don't want to say like on a need-to-do basis. Language does change. Hang on, that language change is situational. And changes according to this. And changes consciously. Right. I'm really tempted now, just as an idea, to talk about prescriptivists, because I'm thinking about how, and I don't know whether you are, this idea of the not accepting the change. You know how prescriptivists say that language needs to be stationary for at this certain standard, yet we adopt things we like, and that's descriptivist. But do I need to just stick with the plan that we've got? Yeah, tell me how. I'm not sure. Yes. Okay. Jean Aitchison's. Is there a T? Yeah. Crumbling castle metaphor. Encourages the idea that English is delicate as a language and needs to be somewhat preserved. However, as a descriptivist, she accepts that change is inevitable. Does that fit to our purpose there? Or do we need to add something else to make it work? And this is proven by code switching, or this is, and this, what do we need to put at the end there? Because we need to tie it all together, don't we? It needs to be like there needs to be something wrapping it together there, like a concluding statement just in that paragraph. Okay, let's have a little. This reinforces the idea that language change is situational and changes consciously. Jean Aitchison's crumbling castle metaphor encourages the idea that English is delicate as a language and needs to be somewhat preserved. However, as a descriptivist, she accepts that language changes are inevitable. Can we go back to our examples of yo and hello? What can we say about them in terms of language needing to be preserved or something? Owen?
No, I was going to say, do you think sort of like, as you said, like, that she thinks language changes never, and it's like, we can't stop, like, cultural factors being crossed across, like,
And then that's good. And then yeah, good. Okay, she accepts the language change is inevitable, and that cultural influences cannot be stopped, especially now that technology and travel are so what are technology and travel? So what are they? Let's finish that sentence. Especially now that technology and travel are so common. Common is nice. Is it common? Did you say common?
it's like prominent or common.
Common. Prominent. I like prominent. There's another word like that. Not imminent, but like also common. Really common. Accessible. You. Oh, don't we? How do you spell it?
It's an
Ibble. It's an A. It's an I, not an E. Oh, it's a assembly. Okay. Right. So, do we like that? That's a good go, isn't it? That's a good first attempt. Let's get that in there. First attempt at spelling accessible. Right, so next, we've got about 15 minutes to get this one up. So let's move on to our second paragraph then. What do I need to talk about now? Diachronic. In the night garden. No, in the. Give me a time period of where travel took off.
because you have that famous one.
We did, but before then, when we were colonising, because we've put that last line about travel, we need to make it fluent. So you need to get a link in there, and so I'm just going to put a tiny bit of context in that will allow me to link to diachronic variation. So in the 1700s, travel became more advanced, meaning that the British Empire was more able to colonise. and experience. Other cultures. Than they had before.
Could you talk about pigeons and queens?
Yeah. We can. Okay. I want to get diachronic in there. So, what this meant was that lingua francas. Do you know what they are? You know what they are, don't you? I've mentioned them a few times. Lingua francas. What is it? Don't nod if you don't know. What's a lingua franca? So it's when two languages communicate, two people that communicate. So they might know the nouns, and it's a lingua franca. So it's not quite a blend of two languages, but it's where two different languages, two people from different languages are communicating. So pidgin is when there's more rules and they've spent a bit more time together. That's a pidgin, and they're the natives of those countries, but they've spent quite a lot of time together and maybe they've formed a relationship, and then they have a baby, and then there's a Creole. What this meant was that lingua francas were used for trade purposes. And part of no, that's rubbish, sorry. What this meant was that lingua francas were used for trade purposes, and that the British would borrow certain lexis from countries, from languages they liked. As this happened over a period of time, diachronic variation became a huge factor in the language we speak today. Certain lexis, such as ballet and alligator, from France. And where's alligator from? Spanish. Is it Spanish? Can still be So not only is language changing and breaking up into many different languages, today, but it has been doing so for a long, long time. Okay, because then we've just repeated the question, so they can't say we haven't answered the question, because we've just repeated the question and therefore proven our point. What terrifies me is the timing of this exam. So you see how long it takes, see how many points we've made on the board, and we've got to narrow it down to your best bits. And actually you're looking at about 2.5, 3 pages there of writing in 45 minutes to try and, smash that out. Students always come back after paper 2 and say, just didn't get enough time on that opinion article. If you need to make up some time on this question, leave it after 45 minutes, go on to your preparation of the 2 reading materials for section B, and they give you half an hour. If you look at the timings on the bottom of the front sheet of the exam, it gives you those timings there. It says about 30 minutes to prep and read your material. Those articles aren't very long, and they're never going to be really long, so you could eat into some of that time, maybe 5-10 minutes, but not a lot of time. So just be careful with timing here. That's why we need to make sure that we're practicing as much as we can. Right, have a little go then of seeing if you can do another on your own. Not on your own, do it with your friend or the person next to you if they're not really a friend but you sit with them in language. So have a little go. Where might you go next? Think about what's on the board, what will work well. I'm going to stop recording.